Let's get comment on that issue and the developments around UNISA and the Higher Education Minister, Blade Nzimande. Bring in the DA's Chantel King. A very good evening to you, ma'am. Good to have your time. Has Minister Nzimande got this whole UNISA thing all wrong, basically? Do you agree that he's wrong to have now instituted the action of dissolving council and allowing an administrator to take over?
I actually agree with Minister Nzimande. It's a call that we have been asking him to institute as per Professor Tema Masia's report. I feel he's well within his right as the minister to place UNISA under administration. We are well aware that they have interdicted this decision, but we should not be allowing a court case, which is still there is no date for it set, to actually derail the academic program, especially now that they're in the planning phase for 2024. So I totally agree with him to place a well-seasoned administrator like Professor Rensburg at UNISA.
The problem, though, is that earlier this month, the minister was interdicted by a court from indeed appointing or allowing an administrator to begin the work of running UNISA while all of this is being dealt with. Ultimately, could it lead to a situation where even if he is right, based on the report as far as the wrongdoing and the poor governance of the institution, where procedurally he's found lacking in law?
It could lead to that, but like I just said, when I asked a question to the UNISA executive, exactly for which date is this court hearing been set, they could not furnish me with the date because they said that they are still waiting for a date to be set. So I do understand the urgency to place UNISA under administration because we cannot wait for this interdict and for the court proceeding outcomes which could drag on for over a year in order to come to a decision. The report was clear. UNISA must be placed under its administration. There is damning evidence against the Vice-Chancellor. There is also evidence which suggests that at this stage, UNISA is not operating coherently according to its academic staff and the Vice-Chancellor's tension that is escalating, which, if it spills over into 2024, will see a delay in the academic program. So if it does come to that, I would actually say it would be very sad and a sad day for UNISA that they would then be derailed going into the academic year.
Interesting that you mentioned that, because in its statement, the institution says this. It's of the strong view that the announcement by the minister, basically at a time when students are in the middle of exams, is ill-timed and insensitive. How do you respond?
I don't think it's ill-timed. I think they knew way ahead, as far back as August. They had 14 days to respond. I think the minister was well in his right to extend it to give them the 14 days. He actually went as far to say, okay, it's fine, you've got this interdict, I'll delay the attention. But at the end of the day, the academic program is continuing as normally. It's just that we are concerned about the management and the administration and the governance of the institution. So I don't think it is ill time because it will not really affect the academic program going into 2023 to end it off.
But Chantel, if the minister were to wait until there was a court hearing based on the last interdict, that finding at the beginning of October, what harm would that cause to UNISA as an institution if he just waited for the hearing to happen before the administrator took over?
We are well aware that Nahau is not happy with the executive. There has been issues of bullying and intimidation on the side of the Vice-Chancellor and some of the council members. So I think going into the 2023 and 2024 academic years, it will actually lead to a situation where we will see disruptions that might occur, which can derail the examination in itself. You will find that the morale of some of the academics is very low, and that would then, at the end of the day, also leads to the credibility of these academics to actually push forward the academic year. UNISA has been doing well because of the work of the dedicated academic staff at UNISA. So yes, students will be affected because in the report it mentioned the ICT systems which students are forever complaining about, and that desperately needs to be looked at. And going in with Professor Rensburg and having that administrator and he's got the report, I'm sure that he will bring the much needed direction UNISA needs in order to move itself higher again into the academic sphere and in the governance realm.
I wonder if you see a role here perhaps for the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education in dealing with this issue, given that now we've got at least 2 legal battles pending between the Minister and the institution. What role should the Portfolio Committee be playing?
Our usual oversight role over the Department of Higher Education and how it's going to ensure that the administrator take the considerations of Professor Temba Messiah to heart, ensure that there are consequence management, ensure a SIU investigation into some of the findings, especially around the salaries that was increase of some of the Vice-Chancellor's staff, especially around the official residence of the Vice-Chancellor, and just to see if there were real deep damaging malfeasance that took place. So our role would basically be to get a proper report to make sure that there's proper oversight and that we have a credible administrator who will, at the end of 24 months, ensure that we have a proper new Vice-Chancellor on board, a new council, as well as a new Senate, and that the Senate continues with its role in curriculum development.
Chantel King from the Democratic Alliance, good to speak to you, member of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education.